Hello, everyone. Very warm welcome and good evening. I would like to begin by saying thank God it's Friday. Well, technically, my Friday is not over yet because I will be busy with the next 90 minutes, but I believe that will be the best 90 minutes of my day today. And I hope that they are the best 90 minutes for your day also, that by end of this, we leave you with little bit of a thought, with little bit of an inspiration. So today we are here with our second episode for the IWF's WeCare series. So what is WeCare series? Basically, or rather, let me take what is IWF. I'm sure many of you are new people here or don't know us. So IWF is like a peer support group. It's called Indian Women in Finland, and it's a non-profit organization. We are a strong group of around 600 plus women who come together for information sharing and for helping each other to adapt to the Finnish way of living. So it's a platform of information sharing, knowledge sharing, helping each other, and empowering the women, basically. And lately, all of our, let's say, initiatives or events have been online, unfortunately due to COVID. So of the many events that we've done online, We Care is the latest, let's say, in our cap. And basically, we thought that we need discussions around topics or matters that matter to the day-to-day living of our women. The first of it was about child right protection, and we had very good response. And today we are going to discuss about how to manage your personal finances, and what are the important things you need to do, why you need to do, because money matters, finance matters. So today we have a selected set of guests who will be presenting certain aspects related to your personal finance. And before even I get to that, I would like to tell a short story why we decided this topic. So, about me, I'm Vaishali Doshi. I've been living in Finland for almost 12 years with my husband and two daughters in Espoo, and I work as a sales director at Accenture. I like working and volunteering for our community, and that's why I'm a part of the Indian Women in Finland, and I also do a lot of other pro bono work and volunteering work. So it was like a couple of months ago in March, it was Women's Day. So International Women's Day, 8th of March. And I had a good start of the morning. I was featured in one of the LinkedIn posts and social media posts by my company as women leaders and on diversity. I was being featured by Embassy of India on speaking about women empowerment. And at the same time, I was preparing for more panel discussions about inclusion, diversity. So it was like quite powerful, pepped up morning for me. And while I was getting a lot of, wishing wishes around different social media platforms on Happy Women's Day, I came across this video on WhatsApp somebody had shared, and it was like a waking up moment for me, or it completely shook me off. I'm not sure if all of you have, or many of you have seen that. Do go and see it later. It's called The Divide, and it was a social experiment conducted by Paytm. Paytm is one of the largest digital payments company in India, and they had invited a group of women and men, and they started asking questions about their education and how many have done masters and postgraduate, and then slowly they started moving into finances. And the end of it, we saw that there was a stark difference between men and women when they were compared in terms of their finance literacy. So clearly, I would say that modern Indian women and even modern day women everywhere are educated, are working, are, let's say, self-reliant in a lot of aspects. We have empowered them, they are there. But are all of these women also confident when they are talking about financial matters? Are they confident or literate enough to know how to do financial decisions? Are they aware of their finances? Do they know, or can they take decisions unassisted? So I guess that was like a video that was like, it shook me off, and it really brought me to the point that actually when we speak of gender equality and our goals of practicing gender equality. I think making women financially independent, literate, confident is one very important step, and that organizations or governments should start really focusing on, because I think if women are not there out in your economy, or they are not investing, they are not doing the right things, anyways, you're not going to grow as a company or as a government or as an economy. So I guess that was a moment for me when I also looked back. I used to take pride in what I was about myself. I thought I'm a self-made, successful woman in IT, and I think I knew it all. But I realized that actually, or let's say I was not so proud to say that when it came to finances and personal finances, I knew little. I was not confident. I felt lost. Yes. So I think earning money is not enough. Being that okay, I have a lot of money is not enough, but it is that power that comes when you know what I'm earning, how I'm earning, and where I'm going to spend, and how I'm going to plan my life. So that is when I went to our board and said, guys, we need to do a kind of a seminar for our fellow women on little bit understanding how well they understand their finances. Are they independent to buy a property or a car or an insurance, something as simple as that? How do we do, what do we do that we give them very basics, understanding your salary slips, understanding the benefits, understanding where money is coming and where it's going. So that was the background. We thought we should have this. And I guess financial independence for women, anyways, also we've known that women are like equal part in a family. So if they are financially independent and they know about their finances, they're not dependent on their spouse. So don't take me wrong, it's good to be dependent for all good reasons. But when it comes to money, it should be your own show. You never know what happens, what uncertain things happen. Now with COVID, we've seen so many people have become jobless, so many people have lost lives. So the other part of the family needs to know where are our investments, how have we been living, where are our properties, what are our fixed deposits or whatever. So I guess it's important, and it's important that women feels her self-worth when she knows about her finances. She helps in the emergencies or sharing responsibilities. And I think most important is she becomes a role model for her children, for the society, that the children look upon, that if I need college fees, I don't have to go to dad, it's mom and dad both. So I guess that's also very important, that women need to have that thing. I think I was reading somewhere that women in the world, and especially in India, completely ignored two things. One is health and the other is finance, and they both are also intertwined. So there was a study done by ICICI Lombard Insurance, and they said that compared to men, only 22% women have health insurance, wherein technically women live longer than men. They usually have more health issues than men. But compared to men, they only had 22% women having health insurance. And this also comes to financial independence. If she's aware, she will definitely go and take an insurance for herself. So I think these were all the topics that were just boggling in our mind, and we said, okay, let's have a session for our people to understand very basics and give them some food for thought. I guess we have three people on this panel today, on this seminar, and I think we will begin with one of our speaker, Minna Frank. Minna is going to talk more about understanding what you earn, understanding your salary, understanding your salary slips and the benefits that you have while you're employed or unemployed or on some Kela support. And then after you understand what you earn or what comes in, we will switch over to Seema, who will explain a little bit about the importance of understanding the finance. What are the basics? How should you plan your future depending on your lifestyle and where you're living, how many children you have, and what are your goals or aspirations? And later we will have Tarun joining us, who will little bit give a sneak peek into, once you have saved enough money, where do you invest? What do you do for your investments? Again, none of these people are like, let's say, financial advisors or authorized people from the financial institutions, but these are the people who know it, who've done it probably for themselves in the right way, and are here to share their experiences. So with that, I guess we can get started. Uh, Before we start and before I introduce Minna and what she does, I wanted to know or get a heat map, a little bit of an understanding of who we are and what kind of audience we have or where you stand. So I'll share my screen and I'll share a code. If you all can please go to menti.com. It's You can just put it on your URL, www.menti.com or menti.com, menti.com, and enter this code. And if you can just answer the question there, if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a live interactive thing where people answer, then you get to know how it is. Like, how many of you feel that you know your financial situation? So I don't know, we have 8 people who have answered for now, but there could be more people answering. We are a little bit on a delay when it's done on Zoom and live on Facebook. But I had asked the questions that you know nothing, you know little, you know enough, you know everything, or you're a champion, you know everything. So I guess now we have 10, 11. The numbers will come up live, like how many people really know about their financial situation. And this will be a good kickstart to our presentation that will tell us why we are doing this session. And I hopefully think that my assumption would be right, but let's see. So we have now 14 people who have answered. Good enough. We can wait for 30 more seconds to see how many more answer. Ramya, can you see my screen where the graph is coming up?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, good. So you see, guys, this graph is already in itself saying a lot. Right now, I have 21 people who have answered, and of that, one person says they don't know anything. 10 people say they know little. 5 people enough. 4 people say they know everything, and one we have a champion. See, I hope you are not that champion here, but it's good to know that there's one champion too. But I think still the graph tells that majority of the people know very little about their financial situation. They know very little what to do with their finances and how to deal with it. Okay, the number is growing. So we have now 11 people who know little. Yeah, I guess, yeah, others can keep answering still. Let's move on with our agenda. So with this, I would hand over to Minna. Minna, welcome. A brief introduction of Minna. So Minna is a co-founder of Finwords, and the mission of Finwords is to help internationals or expats thrive in Finland. Minna has long been a student of different cultures, both formally and through her education, and has lived with her experience. She has extensive experience in international recruitment, operations management, and HR. And today she offers training, coaching, and consulting through Finwords. She also writes a weekly blog about Finland, most of the times topics related to Finnish way of living. So Minna is going to speak about basics of understanding the salaries and salary slips and all kinds of benefits that one is entitled to while you are employed or unemployed in Finland. So welcome, Minna. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me this evening, and good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about salaries, and then about benefits. And I'm going to share my screen. I cannot share that yet. That's why my screen is up.
I need to. No, you can just share it.
No, you cannot start screen
Okay.
share. No, okay, there we go. Now I can. Yes. Okay. And so those of you who are currently employed, obviously, in terms of starting to interpret your payslip, you first have to understand what is the basis of your salary. Do you get a monthly salary? Are you on hourly wage? Is your salary or wage based on piecework or commission? That should be stated in your employment contract. And your employer should have explained to you what is the basis of your salary. For hourly workers, those who are paid by the hour, should also know if they should get extra for evening shifts and for example, working on the weekend. So you should be aware of what is the basis of your salary. And for these types of evening and weekend shifts, you have to know when you are supposed to get what. Obviously, then salary is not the only thing that you can get. You can also get, for example, lunch benefits, mobile phone benefits, and different things like that. When you start an employment relationship, all of those should be told to you, so you should be able to know what is your starting salary, what are your starting benefits, and so forth. So then, when you start earning salary, you get a pay slip every month. In Finland, receiving a pay slip is legally mandatory. You should always also get paid to your bank account. That is also the legal mandate. You should not be getting cash payments for salary. That is illegal in Finland. So all of these salary payments are transactions or transfers from your employer's bank account to the bank account that you have specified to your employer. So then when you get that payslip, you can get a paper payslip, or these days, most often the payslip that you get it into your bank account, into the electronic banking services. That is often what happens. But what you should do is you should check it every month that it is correct. These days, salaries are processed usually sort of automatically, but there's always a possibility of error. So even though you get, even if you are paid a monthly salary that's supposed to be the same amount every month, check your payslip. When I was young as a teenager and entering into the labor market for the first time, what my parents taught me, and I think this is still a good lesson, even though it's sort of 30 years after the fact, is that especially for hourly people, write down on your calendar or somewhere the hours that you work, and also sort of, for example, if you do 6 hours a day, you write that down, and then you also write when during the day you did those hours, so that you can check that you are paid what you are due. For example, in terms of evening shift additions and weekends. So you get a pay slip. This pay slip that I have here is just a mock one that I've made. Pay slips look a little bit different based on your employer, but they usually always have the same type of information. Let's see. So usually there's, for example, you have the employer's details, a name of the employer address, you have your name, your address details, and then information that has to do with your employment relationship. It usually has your social security number, bank account number. It has the pay period. So for example, the month that you are being paid for example, if you get paid every 2 weeks, then it says the pay period. There might be some additional information regarding your employment contract in there. For example, are you full-time or are you part-time, when your employment relationship started, and things like that. So details that have to do with your individual employment relationship. There's usually also information that relates to your taxes. So what is your current tax percentage? What is the income tax percentage that applies to you? So these are the type of sort of personal information and employment relationship related information that's on your payslip. Then in your payslip, there's usually the salary type, or the payment type that you are getting this month. Is it the monthly salary? Is this current month month where you get, for example, your holiday pay? Is this the month when you get your holiday bonus? Or if you've done any overtime this month, it says it is stated there as well. And then there's usually the monetary amount that is your salary or your overtime pay or your holiday bonus. Most often, payslips also have your total for the calendar year up till that time. So you can track your yearly earnings as they come. So you have your what is coming in, and then it says what is being withheld. So what is the income tax that's being withheld from your salary? Income tax includes state tax, municipality tax. It includes the national broadcasting company tax, sickness insurance tax. They are there also. Okay, this is how much tax you are being withheld. Sickness insurance tax is, or sickness insurance payment is included in the tax percentage, but sometimes employers show that. Some employers don't, but some do, that they give you an information at how much sickness insurance you paid this month. And then it usually has a separate line for pension payments that are being withheld and unemployment insurance fee that's being withheld. And then it says the amount that you are being paid this month or for this pay period due your bank account. And then it says the same thing for the whole year up to that point. Like I said, these pay slips look different depending on your employer. Small employers usually have this type of very small, very basic type of pay slips, and larger employers might have some more complicated looking ones, but this is the basic information that's there. And obviously, if you are getting a raise, and so check the payslip that comes that you are actually being paid. Also, it's not just that there might be a mistake when you're getting paid too little. There might actually also be cases where some mistake has happened and you are being paid too much. I've had that happen. And it's a really nasty surprise when then your employer says that, by the way, you have to pay X amount back and we are taking it from your next paycheck. And that doesn't feel too good either when you've sort of budgeted for a certain amount of income coming in. So that's what pay slips usually do. Then I want to give you an example of what this means. So for example, let's say that your gross salary is 200,000 a month. And in Finland, when you see salary information, for example, in job ads, which you usually don't, but when people talk about salaries, they usually talk about gross salaries, because income taxes in Finland are personal. So it's very difficult to know what your net salary is. So if your employer tells you that your salary is X amount, that is the gross salary. So, okay. So let's say that you have this 2,000 euros a month gross salary. So then what gets taken out is pension insurance payment. This calendar year, that is 7.15%. So for this salary, that would mean 143 euros. Then what gets deducted is unemployment insurance. And this year, it's 1.4%, so 28 euros. Then you pay taxes. And like I said, you have the state, municipal income taxes, sickness insurance payment, the national broadcasting company tax, and all of these appear as a single item in your payslip. And for this amount of salary, it's about 241 euros. This is an approximation because, like I said, taxes are individual, and I can't, for this example, know, for example, your own personal deductibles and things like that. But for this amount, it's approximately 241 euros. So what that means is then that the sum that arrives on your bank account is approximately 1,588 euros. So this is what you are then actually receiving when your gross salary is that. Okay. But then I wanted to tell you also that, you know, we as employees in Finland, we pay this employment pension insurance, we pay unemployment insurance, and that shows in our payslip that these are deducted from our salary. But the way that the Finnish system works is that your employer also pays their share of your unemployment insurance and your sickness insurance. So if you make that 2,000 euros a month, and that is what your employer pays, you deducts your insurances out of it and your taxes out of it, and then you end up with that's 1,500 approximately. But in addition, your employer pays employment pension insurance for you. That's about 345 euros. They also pay unemployment insurance for you. That's 28.40 euros. And they pay sickness insurance. They pay accident insurance. They pay group, it says 5, but it's group life insurance. So your total cost to the employer is actually 2,419 euros and 40 cents when you make 2,000 euros a month. So that is your total cost monthly to your employer. I just wanted to make that sure that the Finnish system is such that for pension insurance, for unemployment insurance, and for sickness insurance, both the employee pay part of their share and the employer pay their share. The size of these shares, the percentages that each of us pay as employees or as employers changes a little bit annually. So for example, in the example, I showed how much currently, for example, unemployment insurance is for employees, but it might be slightly different next year. These are always determined annually. So there's a slight difference every year, but this is how it works. So then that was for salaries. Then understanding benefits. There are sort of 4 major governmental or state or sort of public entities that take care of social benefits in Finland. Municipalities are in charge of some of them. Kela, the Social Security Agency, is in charge of most of it. Then we have unemployment funds that are responsible for some, and then we have pension funds. In this image, you see those shades of blue, and then we have shades of green. And those signify different things because in Finland, social benefits are based either on residency, that you are a resident of Finland, and or they can be based on your employment status in Finland. So those that I have marked here in shades of blue are residency-based benefits. So those benefits are benefits that you are entitled to if you are a resident of Finland, irrespective of whether you are working in Finland or not. The ones that are marked in shades of green refer to benefits that are tied to employment. So for example, you have employment pension. You can only accrue employment pension in Finland if you have been employed in Finland. Then there are other types of employment-based benefits, like for example, disability benefits. So if you get injured in the job and you are unable to work and you have to retire, then that would be employment-based disability benefit. Then in addition to employment pension, which is tied to the employment status or employment history, there's also old age pension, for example. and that is based in that is based on residency, and that has nothing to do with your employment history. And I think the organizers are going to share the list of benefit guides that I provided. So I don't want to go into these benefits in details. Those guides explain what they are and how you can apply for it. The basic source of benefits is Kela. But what I do want to mention is that if you are a resident in Finland and you are employed, join an unemployment fund and join as soon as possible. Because if you then get unemployed, you get better unemployment benefits if you are a member of an unemployment fund than you would get if you are not a member. And that is a really, and the monetary difference between unemployment benefits paid by Kela and unemployment benefits paid by unemployment funds, it's significant. So it is a significant financial difference. But you can join unemployment funds if you are a resident and you are working. There are certain sort of conditions that are tied to that. But this is something that I want to emphasize. And you don't need to be a member of a trade union in order to be a member of unemployment funds. So that is something that I also want to emphasize. Okay, I think that was it for me, and my time is up. So I'm going to stop the share and give room to next speaker.
That was quite useful, Minna. Thank you so much, because yes, we usually get the salary slips many times. Many companies even give in English. Sometimes it's in Finnish. People don't even understand what it means. And what was also interesting is the cost to the company, the CTC, what you showed. So I guess it was quite insightful. You mentioned about this unemployment funds that everybody should sign up to. So do you have a list, like, okay, most of the people know YTK or something. Do you have a list? What are the options that people have? Or can you maybe later on share that?
I can Google the current page. I know I can Google it and give the address, and there's a list. Okay. Usually unemployment funds are, so the whole system in Finland is sort of usually it's profession based or industry based. So it depends on where you sort of work. For example, if you have an MBA, they have their own and things like that. But I'll Google the list and I'll give you the address.
Okay, that would be useful. Thank you so much. So I guess thanks, Minna. I hope you will stay around. There might be more questions we'll take towards the end. Because if I start taking questions now, we can spend the rest 1 hour doing that easily. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions that people have, especially around pension and unemployment taxes and stuff. But we need to move forward. So next in line, our next guest here is Seema Dastagir. So Seema has been living in Finland for almost 7 years and works in Kone as a solution design owner for IT solutions. She's passionate and curious personality, I'm sure she is, and loves exploring and learning new skills in IT and finance. Before moving to Finland, she was working in India in retail and investment banking sectors for 12 years. And of course, this has inspired her to learn and take few soft steps to explore investment products in Finland. She's excited to be here and share her learnings and experiences with our community. And why I asked Seema to come here and share this is because she'll share her story and little bit explain why she started or her awakening moment, like I had one, but I have not started yet. But a little bit that when did she decide to take control of her finances, started knowing what do we have, what do we own, what do we earn, how do we know what do we have, how to save, how to invest to ensure that we have a safe future while still enjoying a fulfilling life. So with this high note, welcome Seema, and over to you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Okay, I'll start sharing now. I hope, can you just confirm whether you can see my screen?
Yes, if you can put it on presentation mode, it would be better.
Of course, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Vaishali. I think thank you for this great introduction, and thank you for inviting me as a presenter over here. And it's kind of a great pleasure. I'm quite excited, really, because in fact, I wanted to really share this with the women. I had the same kind of mindset that yes, I need to share with more people. So I then started YouTube vlog as well, but I couldn't post a lot of videos there still because I was just stuck with some with my job as well. So but then when you actually called me up to do this session, I was like and even Ramya called me, then I was like quite excited. I said, yes, this is the right time, and I think I definitely need to be there to make sure that my women friends and colleagues and everybody need to learn more about this and need to be financially independent. So like you said,
I
I'm
think,
not.
Seema, sorry to interrupt, but that is why I wanted to have you there, because I can get a very high-end financial advisor to talk. He knows it, right? So I wanted a person with people can associate and who comes and tells the story. Then if you can do it, I can do it, right?
Exactly. Anybody, it's not a rocket science and anybody can
Yeah.
do it. And moreover, like you said, I'm not a financial advisor or certified professional, but life has taught me lots of lessons. And I believe that practical experience is the best guru.
Yeah.
So, with that said, let me start why I'm here and how I started my journey. It's like it all started during this pandemic when the entire world was frozen, and I think like it was like very quiet, and there's like a lot of time for you to learn lots of skills because you're not able to meet people because you were in your own fancy world, meeting people, partying, and going everywhere around traveling. But then there came the standstill moment, and I was just looking back and thinking, what where am I leading to? What are my aspirations? What's my hope, desires, my dreams? So when I started jotting it down, then I said, yes, I wanted to start be part of an NGO, start an NGO, be an entrepreneur, and lot of things. Then I said, but what happens now? I'm already stuck in a rat's race. Kind of, I have to work hard. I earn. I have to pay my bills. I upgrade my lifestyle. Then I end up with no savings, and then there's a lot of debt or loans which I need to pay. But if this is how it goes, when will I have time to achieve my financial freedom? So financial independence is different. Okay, financial independence is like you go for a work, you get an income source. But financial freedom is something else. Is like you aspire to do something and you do it, and there is no need for you to get stuck in this 9 to 5 kind of a job always. And I wanted to break that. I wanted to break that cycle. So then I just started revisiting my finance portfolio. So when I started revisiting I've been investing, but I was not like, I didn't know what exactly I was doing. I was just like kind of doing some kind of investments without any goals, without any aspirations, without any timelines. And then I said, no, it's high time. I think now I need to start controlling or taking over my finance. I need to start controlling them. I need to know where I'm heading towards. So I reach my financial freedom and my aspirations. And then I took some online lessons on investments, stock market, mutual fund, cryptos, bonds. Ask me not everything. I've been spending this entire 1 year just going through many YouTube gurus and Udemy courses and so on. It just went on and on. And then finally, I have learned so much today. I'm like 1 year back. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but now I've grown so much wiser in terms of financial freedom. And what I believe is every penny you save today, you are buying time for your financial freedom and live your aspirations. So I learned that. And I think with this said, I wanted to also, show you some, talk about some financial gurus which are there. And I don't know how many of you know what, according to Albert Einstein, is eighth wonder in this world. Okay, it's power of compounding. Yes, a person who actually learns it, he's going to earn it. And a person who's not going to learn it, he's going to keep paying interest. It's a very strong statement, but yes, it is so true that if you know the power of compounding, your money actually works for you and it pays you. You then you stop working and money works for you the entire life. So it's like Charles Munger is kind of a famous investor. He's a billionaire. And he's just like this Warren Buffett and Rajesh Jhunjhunwala in India, famous investors. He said that to save the first 100K is a bitch, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on the 100K. After that, you can see ease off the gas a little bit. So this is a very simple chart, and if you go into Google, if you just say the magic of compounding or power of compounding calculators, you will have multiple calculators over there, and just pick one of them and play with the numbers. You will be astonished, like I was. You will be astonished to see the results. See this graph. Actually, it takes a person, if he has to save 10K annually at a 7% interest rate, it took 7.84 years for him to reach this 100K. But then what happens for the next 200K? It's just 5.1 years. And then for the 300, it's 3.78. Then 400, it's 3 years. And then finally for the 500K, it's 2.5 years. And then I don't want to tell you how to reach 1 million. Then it's going to take just 1 year after that. So to become a millionaire, right? So that is the power of compounding. I think I have influenced you enough that you need to start saving. But I guess from what Minna showed us, she showed us how to read our salary. Yes, we get our income, but it's not how much we get; it's how much we save. To achieve this financial freedom is what I believe. So that's this famous technique, okay, which is called a 50-30-20 rule. There is no hard and fast rule, okay. It's not that you need to just stick to these numbers, but always, it's good that you have a framework. Uh, like the first step is when you get an income, you need to pen down. You need to put down your budget. You need to manage your budgets. You need to see where exactly your money is going. And with that said, if you follow this 50-30-20, so it's like 50% goes for your needs. So you cannot definitely compromise on that, like housing, transportation, insurance, groceries, healthcare, utilities. Yes, this is very important. You can definitely not compromise. And then the next 30% goes for your wants. Of course, you work hard so much the entire month, and then you want to give yourself some goodies, right? So of course, then we have this 30% where you need to save for your travel, entertainment, or allocate, travel, entertainment, dining out, shopping. And then finally, at least the 20%, at least, okay, that 20% for the emergency funds, debt repayments, and of course, savings. So now, with this COVID situation, I was happy that I put this number around. So it was like we were not traveling anywhere, we were not dining out too much, we didn't get chance to shop too much. So then I turned it around. It's like I started, keeping 20% for my wants and 30% for my savings. And yes, it also depends on your smartness and what's your goals, what's your aspirations as well. Now, let me talk more on this 20% because I know there's no need for us to, teach anyone how to do your expenses. But I think it's very important you all know how to save. Um, I have put here like emergency funds. What exactly is emergency funds? Yes, uh, it is a very important fund. You need to start saving for your rainy days. It means that. Uh, you might have any uncertainty if we lose a job, or if we don't if one of our incomes stops, then we have this emergency funds. So it's ideal that you save at least 12 months expenses. It's not the income, but 12 months expenses you save. So you start building that. It's not overnight you save it, but you start building it slowly if you haven't started. Then debt repayments, very important. If you really want to be financially, I mean, financial freedom, if you want to get that, you need to jot down all your debts. Okay, start with the smaller ones. Like for example, you might have the credit card for maybe 3,000 in debt. Then start with that. Try to close that, because there is a lot of smarter ways to use credit cards. If you use a credit card, make sure in 30 days you pay it. Otherwise, you are actually a good customer when you pay interest to the bank. And if you are going to pay that immediately in 30 days, then you become a bad customer for the bank. But it's okay. You don't want to be a kind of a good customer to the bank. It's because it's your money. You don't want to pay unnecessary interest over there. So then that's the first step. Jot down all your loan payments. Try to first close the smaller ones. And then savings. Of course, these savings depends on your goals, which I will talk very soon after this slide. So basically, this is the first step. You do the budget management, you put a rule, you pen down. Please downsize if there is like more than 50% of expenses you do. Try to downsize that, or try to see, speak with your insurance company for some discounts. See whether the broadband, if you're using it, can be provided by your company. 10 euros, 20 euros also makes a lot of difference, guys. So I think you need to definitely take that step. Then so now we know we've done the budgeting, but then we need to do a financial planning, because if we start saving, then we need to have a goal. In every person's life, we have this entire lifeline span. In that, like, our parents did it, and now we need to do. So we have the aspirations to buy a home. We need to save to buy a home. We need to educate our children. Maybe in Finland it's free, that's fine. But if they want to go abroad, if they want to go elsewhere, yes, we need to save for that. And culturally, we have that extravaganza wedding. Of course, we need to go. If we are Indians, of course, we want to go there and do a great extravaganza wedding for our children with the family. And finally, we build our wealth as well. We need to also build wealth slowly. And of course, this is not going to stop. Like, we need to have our lifetime aspirations also pocketed. Like, we want to go for a world tour. We have to help the society, give back to the society. And finally, we need to also save for our comfortable retirement. But then this is plan A, and everything goes well in this situation. But I'm trying to be practical here. Let's not be very emotional, but let's be practical when you do our financial planning. There could be some uncertainty, which could be untimely death or critical illness, which we need to be prepared. And we don't want to leave our family vulnerable for this financial crisis, right? So we need to make sure what's the total depth we have, and we need to make sure we take a very simple term insurance. Now you might say that, okay, I have the group life insurance with the company. That's great, but just check out how much is your company going to pay if something happens to you. What's the kind of critical illness they cover? And in fact, if you become unemployed, don't wait a moment. Please immediately take an insurance. This is over here in Finland, but people who wish to go back after your child's education over here, wish to go back to India, make sure you already take a term insurance, because in India, how it happens is, as you age, the amount you need to pay for the term insurance increases. So take a very simple one. Don't take a fancy one like this ULIP, connected with the life insurance plus the other policies, all these things. Just take very simple and small one and take it early. Take it early. That's my advice. So now, step two, you have jotted down all your goals from now onwards, calculate how long is it's going to take for your higher education for the child, and then wedding time and all these things, and then backdate it. Like then if it's like 10 years from now, then you need to know that, okay, then I have to save monthly maybe 100 euros or 200 euros, whatever it is. The earlier you start, the lesser you need to save. The later you start, then you need to save more. Just keep that in mind. And nothing can be compromised. Can we compromise anything in this? Definitely not. At least, okay, maximum you can do is compromise the lifetime aspirations. But I wouldn't suggest that. This is very important, guys. We need to live our life. So you don't have to compromise on your lifetime aspirations. Now, step 3. So we have a financial planning in hand. Then we build the house. We build the financial house, like we build our house, right? We need to have a foundation. A foundation is going to be, it needs to be a strong foundation. Now, the foundation is the life cover. I know most of us know swimming, but still, if we go in a boat in the sea, of course, we wear a life jacket. That's how it is. We need to have a life cover. We need to add riders to it, critical illness insurance. If you don't have it, please make sure you take this one immediately. And if your employer is providing, check with them how much are they paying. And then emergency funds, very important. This is your base. Before you actually start on any fancy investments, make sure you build your emergency fund. This is the first level of foundation. Then we have the pillars, health insurance. Each and every one in the family needs to have health insurance. Please mark my words. This is very, very, very important, and especially your parents, because if your parents are completely dependent on you, make sure your parents have health insurance, because most of our savings goes there. Suddenly there's something happens, uncertain happens, then we cannot compromise on that. We need to support our parents, we need to support ourselves, we need to support our dependent. It's very important. So take health insurance. This is the second foundation. And then, of course, I can talk more about it. I started reading those insurance policies and documents also for past 1 or 2 years, and then there are a lot of clauses and disclaimers inside that. So make sure what kind of health insurance you take. There'll be a claim percentage like 98% or 100% settlement time, the time frame by when. Because if something, it's like, they'll have a lot of clause that for this, they will not, this disease they don't cover, this disease they don't cover. So make sure you read the insurance documents before even going with any insurance company. Finally, then you seal it with your retirement planning. Yes, this is very important. It's like most of them say, no, I'm going to be dependent my entire life, my child is going to take care of me. No, please don't be dependent on your child ever. They have their own life. I think whatever you earned, you save it, and you make sure that you have a very decent and comfortable retirement life. If, of course, if your child takes care of you, that's amazing. But again, we need to be really independent and have our own decent retirement planning. Child education is the next ceiling you start saving for. And then we have the house. We have the children's wedding, which we need to also start saving for. And finally we build, this is the kind of the third foundation. And finally you have the top elevations, which you can beautify with many real estate and fancy investments, because these can't be liquidated. If you are in an emergency situation, these can't be liquidated immediately. So just keep that in mind. So that is the reason it's very important you build these 3 layers, 3 foundation before you go for any fancy investments. Of course, if you have done all these things, start building your wealth. And with this said, I think I think these are the 3 steps I had in mind. And of course, there are a lot of different types of investments, but I will hand it over to Tarun to talk more about it. And if you If you have more questions, I'm happy to explain this offline. I'm available on WhatsApp, so you can always contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. I think that was a good, very basics of what you need to know and how do you build your house or your financial structure. I liked it. Of course, I did have some questions to it, but maybe we'll take it towards the end because one thing that struck to my mind immediately is I don't have health insurance because I live in Finland and I look upon Kayla to take care of me. So, do I really need to take that in Finland? Maybe we take it in the end,
Sure.
but I see Tarun is on the call also. So, let me welcome Tarun and introduce him. So, Tarun, welcome. Tarun Sharma is a tech entrepreneur and business leader with wide range of experience from startups to Fortune 100 companies. He has held several leading roles in innovation, entrepreneurship, strategy, and new business development and digital at Bell Labs, Microsoft, IBM, Nokia, Tieto. And in addition, Tarun is co-founder and mentor of a few startups and scale-ups and an active investor and sport enthusiast. So I guess Tarun will give us some guidelines or tips on various types of investments you can do once you manage to know what you earn, which Minna said, and how to save that Seema said. So Tarun, over to you and welcome.
Hey, thanks a lot, Vishali and the IWF team. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, we can see your slides, but you're not very clearly audible, I guess, either your headphones or speak. And like, we can hear you, but it's not very.
Is this any better?
Ramya or Renuka, do you feel better or is it me?
Are you able to hear me well?
Yes, better
No,
now.
it's better.
Okay. All right. So yeah, thanks a lot. Great to be here. And, let me also take this opportunity to, also congratulate, IWF. I think you're doing a fantastic job, the whole team, conducting these sessions and, helping everybody learn collectively. So I'm gonna run through my slides, and I think some of this is already covered by Seema. So, I'll try to quickly run through. I'm not going to go too much into the details. I've lived now in Finland for 20 years. As Vaishali mentioned, I've had various roles. But here today, I'm to talk about, me as an investor. And again, the only takeaway from this slide is I'm not a certified financial advisor. Please do take into account whatever I'm sharing is, what I've learned and observed personally through my friends, investment buddies, and, investment circles. So, and I'm going to talk about the marathon later in the picture. So there are three things really, I want to, focus on. One is the investor profile and objective. And some of that, I think, was already talked about by the previous guest. Investment options, what are the different options we have? And finally, making it real and do something about it. And again, the sooner we do, the better it is. And what exactly we can do, what are the tools which are available. And again, I've taken a very Finland centric view here, but I also understand, there might be people who are, attending from different geographies, but I think the principles still apply. The platforms and tools may vary. So without any further delay, let me just jump right into first topic. Why do something? Why can we not just be happy without doing something, right? I think it is needed because inflation eventually eats into your saving. We just can't hide the money, and after a few years, assume the same money to be able to buy same sort of commodities or XYZ. I think ultimately inflation eats into our saving. I mean, right now we are living in an unusual period where inflation is extremely low, but that's not normally the case. I mean, these two graphs, show there have been cases where inflation has been very, very high, as high as 10%. And again, in India, inflation is still continues to be high. Then you have, EU, inflation, and these are, coming from Statista. So if we don't do something, 100 euros today, in few years or a decade, may be worth close to zero. We may not be able to buy as much what we are able to buy. So we got to do something with the 100 euros, which we have today. We just can't sit. So it comes to then, for what purpose, right? And again, I think the previous, person talked about it. There are various objectives, whether it's education, whether it's retirement, whether it's, for, family, friends, whether it is, your philanthropy, whether it's for, other material things, so, we got to be very clear what is our purpose when we think of investment, because there are different sort of time horizons, there are different aspects of different instruments, and if we are preparing for retirement, we are probably not going to need it for a couple of decades. So you can take a totally different approach. But if instead, if it is for a child education, which may be a few years down the line, maybe some of those investment options are not suitable. So, and again, this timeline was again shared. It really depends, where are you and your loved ones in this journey or in this life cycle. You can picture yourself in this, or you can picture your loved ones in this. It could be your parents, it could be your children, it could be you yourself starting a job, moving careers, starting a family, etc. It's very important, because again, at different phases of life, I think our risk profile changes. What we can take risk, how much time duration we can give into investment options varies, as we move, or as we see ourselves and our loved ones on this life cycle. Um, Ultimately, all of this, I think, defines our investor profile, who we are as an investor, meaning, how long can we keep our investments? Are we talking about 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 years, 30 years? And depending upon that answer, the choices we make in terms of investment should change. And if they don't change, I encourage you to reflect. If there is something, if there are spare funds which you really don't need for 20 years, invest those with that in mind. And if there are some funds which you only want to park for a limited period, let's say you want to buy a house and you just want for 2 years, that investment strategy can be completely different, as opposed to the funds which you can park longer. So that's your time horizon, impacts a lot of what you choose. What is your current financial situation? This is no brainer. Is this money which I can afford to invest and forget about it, or is that money which is just temporary and I do have sporadic needs to reach out to this piggy bank? That depends upon, again, investment choices, whether they are liquid or illiquid. If I invest into something which is not liquid, let's take real estate as an example. You can't sell it with the fly of a button, or with a click of a button. I should not be investing uh, money in those assets which are illiquid. And again, this is sort of maybe it's already known and well understood, but it's, I think, still worth to emphasize again. Again, we talked about what is your investment goal. What are you actually investing for? How old are you? We also briefly talked about it. I think our risk appetite changes depending upon where we are in the journey. How the closer we are to the retirement, and again, certified professional investors have developed models to say, number of years to retirement, etc. Your savings, and there is a model how you can start moving from risky assets to less risky assets. And finally, what's your degree of risk tolerance? And I think we all, again, view risk very differently. Somebody you know is okay to lose, let's say, 100 euros, and somebody doesn't want to lose anything, even if you only earn 2%. But somebody's is okay to lose 100 euros but make a bet which can earn 10%. So risk profile is different, and it's important to understand what is your risk profile, because there will always be ups and downs in any investment we do, right? And if we are not sincere about what our risk tolerance is, what will happen is we will panic. And I've seen again and again, we may say that, yes, I'm a risky person, but the moment the stock goes down or the market goes down 30%, we panic, because we have not been honest about what our risk tolerance is. And I think, so, that's why I have this, are you really playing a casino, or are you really, think of investment? And all these 5 things really, and the choices you make, will determine what it is. And again, that's the next section on the different sort of options we have. And again, I'm conscious of time. I know we are running a little bit late on the agenda, but again, this is a busy sort of set of options. And again, I'll just quickly summarize it. There is real estate, equities, cash, bonds, commodities. And again, within that, you will see equity is, you can look at it from a geography perspective, that yes, Asia is growing, I should invest in Asia. or you look at it from a theme perspective, tech is growing or EV space is growing, that I want to get into the green space. So you look into companies which are investing in battery technologies, you look at companies which are autonomous driving. So within equity, there is, a whole sort of, way to divide equity. Similarly, fixed income, there are corporate bonds, there are government bonds, etc., etc. There are ways. Ultimately, it boils down to, what are you doing? Are you doing capital? Are you preserving the capital? Is it inflation protection? Is it growth, diversification, etc.? And there are some investments which are actually for tax efficiency. In fact, I have a note there. Finland has equity savings plan, which actually is very tax friendly for investor. And I encourage everybody who's listening to really open that account if you have not yet opened that account. And I'm going to touch upon that in the tools in the final section. So moving on, many options. And again, I think probably Vishali mentioned, this is just a quick, we're not going to deep dive into any of these. This is not, we just don't have enough time. But very briefly, term deposit and bonds, I think originally from India, we all know, we all grew up with this notion of fixed deposit, right? That's what is term deposit. You go, you have surplus money, piggy bank. At the end of the month or the year, you take the piggy bank, go to the bank and say, okay, here's it. In good old days, you used to get 12%, 10%. Nowadays, 5-6% in India is good enough. In Finland, it's zero. You don't get anything because, again, it's linked to inflation. ECB rates are low. Banks not going to give anything. They are very simple instruments. Returns are usually limited. They just barely meet the inflation. Limited risk, limited upside. I mean, really, that's really not an option. Maybe if it's like really, really short term for 2 weeks, 1 month, I just want to park the money, maybe 0.5%, sorry, 0.05% is something which banks will give in Finland these days. Negligible, it's close to zero. I mean, at the end of the year, if you look at what you have earned, it's it's actually a joke. So moving on to the next one, funds, and I have sort of 3 categories of funds here: mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs. And it's very important to understand they are not all equal, right? Yes, in principle, there are some similarities. They all pool the money from investors and then they invest on your behalf. So they are sort of your money managers who are investing. But, yes, it's a pool of money. Yes, it's tend to be diversified, but, mutual funds are active and that's why their fees is very high. Whereas index funds and ETFs are passive. And again, index is something like I'm betting on benchmark or NASDAQ to go, long term. With a long term view, it will go, high up. That's my index fund investment. ETFs can also be linked to an index, but the only difference between them is they are traded on the stock exchange like a stock. So ETF you can buy and sell on any trading day, but index funds you only buy or sell at the end of the day. Mutual funds are tailor-made active funds where the fund manager is trying to beat the market and beat the index. There's been many studies done, many statistics, and many, investors have said, over a long period of time, there are very few fund investors who have successfully beaten index funds. So why pay high fees? Including Warren Buffett. They said, if there is one takeaway from this talk, and if you don't understand anything, just pick an index fund, put 50 euros, 100 euros, 200 euros monthly, forget about it, right? If there's nothing else we understand from this, my talk, that's one, likely to not go bad. But again, I'm using my disclaimer, right? But no, over a long period of time, indexes, tend to go up. If you have a 10-20 year horizon, it's gonna pay off. Commodities, these are sophisticated. There's a lot goes into commodities which we don't know as retail investors. There are big industries which hedge. Who would have thought that coronavirus would increase lumber prices? I didn't anticipate that. And I started looking into this. Why is lumber prices going up? Because the housing construction, because everybody needs bigger houses. The people are buying bigger houses, and everybody is doing renovation in their houses, and wood plays a very important role in renovation. So certainly the demand of wood has increased quite a lot. And because of that, commodity prices have gone up. Metals is one because of the EV. Everybody is doing battery, from Germans to Americans. Obviously, Tesla created this market. So commodities are not very easy as it looks to be. Of course, again, in India, we are used to buying gold and keeping gold. That was one form of commodities investment. But nowadays, you can have futures, you can have ETF. You don't need physical commodities. You can invest in all these instruments, digital instruments for commodities. But again, my word of caution is, be very careful that you understand commodity space if you really want to go in. I mean, oil, metals, lumber, coffee, sugar, gold. There are lots of commodities, and there are a lot of players which can move the market very quickly. And there's macroeconomic, there's supply demand. You need to understand many things at a global perspective to really play this game. Stocks should be among the favorites for most. Over a long period of time, stocks beat most of the investments, hands down, right? Hands down. The trick of that is but to pick right companies and have right bets. Blue chip, big companies, emerging companies, emerging stars. And again, here are some graphs from a tech sector. If $100 was invested in 2009 in Netflix, it would be $100, mind it would be $3,500. So $1,000 10 years ago is a $350,000 portfolio today, just Netflix. Similarly, Amazon, Microsoft, PayPal. And again, I come from a tech sector, so I obviously follow tech very closely, but there are others too. There is Visa, there is MasterCard, there are others too. So, and here's an example of the Indian companies from 1995 to 2020, what have their, average returns have been. 25-year CAGR of 30% from Infosys is staggering. It's hard to beat, right? So I encourage to look into stock, into maybe somebody you're familiar with. Maybe you have a friend who works. Try and understand the industry, which industry, who's the leader of the industry, what are the financial sort of financial analysis of the company. And again, take help, because we all learn from each other. I'll just quickly touch upon a point. There is also a growing trend towards SPACs, which are special acquisition vehicle, in short, and they're again growing in there's popularity. In 2021, this year, the amount of money raised has already reached the entire 2020. So it's a whole new sort of investment vehicle which has come into the market, where you launch a blank company, ask money from people, and then you go and buy. So you do a reverse merger. It's interesting. It's emerging as an asset class. People are looking into this space. Again, one of the risks is you just don't know. It's like you're putting money into the fund, and fund is going to buy something. You just don't know what they're going to buy, and there are covenants in place, and etc. etc. So, but keep a watch on this SPACs as well. It's interesting. Real estate, and again, I've taken this. I personally, I'm a fond of real estate. I do real estate investment. I've taken a quick snapshot of last 6 years of Helsinki. How has the index looked like over the last 5-6 years? And again, for Helsinki or Finland, look at the top cities. Getting 30% in 4-5 years is, and again, this is average, right? So if you have, and in this average, there will be some which have risen 60%, and there will be some which will be 20%. So the trick in real estate investment is to pick the ones which would have increased 60%, 70%. So again, but also do note, real estate also tend to go through cycles. And again, US subprime crisis also showed us. I'm not trying to here scare or anything. I think real estate, everybody needs it. Shelter, it's a great investment. Over a lot, especially if you have a long-term view. Again, it's the downside, as we know, is it's not liquid. If you want to sell something, it will take time. But still, it's a great asset class to be looked into. The benefit of that is you play with leverage quite a lot. So that is to your advantage, and that is something very important from an investor point of view, to be able to play with leverage. Um, I couldn't finish the talk without talking about crypto. Some call it, the digital gold. Some call it casino. I have not yet formed an opinion myself. I'm still learning about this particular asset class, as everybody else. But again, one important thing to note is Goldman Sachs have said it is a new asset class. They have at least started recognizing this. There is something to it. Like for sure, I think distributed ledger is here to stay. For sure, I think digital, sort of money will happen. Blockchain is certainly going to happen. Which crypto will survive, which crypto will not survive, that is the only sort of risk here, in terms of, when you're evaluating this space. So again, if you have looked into all previous asset class and you are bored, then maybe, take a look at crypto as well. But there is already enough to, maybe look at, previous options before you jump or put significant money. You can always put small amount of money to learn it, because, then you also learn it. But just then be wary, which actually takes it to the next one, last section, making it real, right? And again, we looked into different asset class on the left. My suggestion is to create a pyramid, and divide the pyramid very simply: high risk, moderate risk, low risk. And again, depending upon your investor profile, what you are comfortable. Like our parents probably, say 70-80% used to be in fixed deposit, maybe 90% used to be in green category, which was fixed deposit. But again, you evaluate yourself. If your horizon is long enough, I will argue, you don't need to be so conservative to put too much in the green. You can go and invest 20 to 30, maybe 40% in green, low risk, 40-50% in moderate risk, which is, index funds and stocks, real estate, and maybe 10% in super speculative. That can be your crypto, that can be your commodity. Again, if you have a long-term view, please bear that in mind. This is again very practical what we can do in Finland. And again, here's a quick sort of and again, I'm not promoting here I'm not promoting here any particular tool. These are the ones which I have used it. Nordnet is great. I know my investment buddy, Aditya, he uses Investor Broker as well as Nordnet, so they both are great. Nordia is as well. I think banks are only catching up now. Typically, what I've seen, Nordia, OP, and previous Danske, usually their monthly fees are higher. At least in the past, that has been the case. Probably still is the case. Maybe you're better off doing Nordnet and interactive brokers. They tend to be very low in fees, monthly fees, transaction fees. And again, transaction fees is whether it's in the domestic market, which is Finland, or whether it's in the foreign market, like NASDAQ, DAX, German, etc. And like mentioned previously in my talk, please do remember Finland equity saving account. That's the second action I think everybody should take. It's an account where you do not pay any tax when you buy or sell a stock, even if you make a profit. Any dividend and interest is also not taxed. So you have a pool of kitty, and if you don't take the money out, your principal and profits keep on getting accumulated, which is great because because you can reinvest your profit. Only when you take the money out of this account, then you are taxed. So, I highly encourage anybody who's considering. There are some restrictions of what you can or cannot do in this account, but I think if you go there, you'll be able to, find out those. Real estate, I think, not to mention, probably everybody's familiar. It's a small market. The players are almost known. There are some new interesting players emerging who are, playing an intermediary role, whether you're a buyer or a seller. They're also doing sort of bridge financing role. If you want to sell quickly, you don't have a buyer, they will, use as a bridge finance. So I encourage you to take a look. On the rental side, there are companies like Wokra Turwa, which give you rental guarantee. they will say, okay, fine, we'll give you a 12-month rental guarantee, which is again, as a property owner, that is one less headache to think about. But these are all familiar. Some practical tips before I close. Take the first step and invest. Right? That's you know and again, it's not rocket science. Just whatever, pick one thing from this talk and take an action. Start small. You don't need a lot of money. Like on Nordnet, there are funds which you can invest with as little as 15 euros a month. Right? um, Currency and location of asset, this is important. We as sort of expatriates, where are our savings and where the investment should be. And this is, and again, I've realized it over after having now spent 20 years. you know Try to do investments where your future costs are going to be. If your future costs are going to be in euros and Finland, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put a lot of money in foreign currency in a foreign, because the transaction cost, the border transfer, the taxation, etc., might eat into foreign exchange fluctuation, might eat into the so be aware. Where's this where are you investing. Pick simplest possible option you feel comfortable with, like mentioned. And again, there's also a hype that complex is better. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes simple things, like mentioned, index fund could also be just a very good option for many here. Think long term. This is where my marathon link comes in. It's not a sprint. Really think long term. Think of a pyramid. Think long term, 10 years, 20 years ahead. Plan it. And then last, very important, investment buddy. I learn a lot from my buddies. Like I mentioned Samu, Aditya, Alur. We brainstorm, we learn from each other. And I encourage you, this is a whole field in itself, and we alone can't learn everything. Have an investment buddy. It will make it fun, it will make it exciting, and you'll be able to help each other. So yeah, that's it. I think summary we already talked about. Just remember all of these, and that's it.
Just one perspective on this currency cost, which you said, it's very interesting fact. So where you want to retire, you actually invest there, especially for your kids. If your kids are planning to do a higher education, then I would suggest that money you invest here, because of course you can do the transfer from here to like US, or he's going to German, then you can just do a bank transfer. So just keep those money safe here. But if you want to retire in India, I would already suggest that start investing, in Indian funds. So.
Yeah. Invest where your future cost, currency, and location are going to be. So if parents need money, it's good to keep money in India, right? So yeah. Hopefully, this was. I know it was a little fast, but
No, I guess this was very good, Tarun. Quite insightful, and like you were not in the beginning. I started by saying that I had seen this video and it gave me a little bit of goosebumps that I'm not doing investments. Your video makes me, or your presentation makes me, oh my God, have I missed the bus kind of feeling. But like you said, it's never too late, right? So start small, start in whatever you can. But yeah, I think it was quite useful. And like we all said that it's a very short time. We cannot deep dive into any topic. We could just do a like brisk walk going through the large variety of topics. But of course, you all can also tell and write us in the chat or post what are the areas you want to know, and we can of course plan further deep dive sessions. I think we have a set of questions, or many questions, before we can go. So let's uh, I mean, we have actually only 6 minutes left for the official session, but I want to ask Minna, Tarun, Seema, what's your availability? Can you stay on for a little longer? Can we take some questions?
Sure, I'm there. Yeah.
Tarun, you had some challenge, or you can stay around for a while?
I can say a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So maybe Renuka, you had some list of questions you can take, and then I also have some. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you all the three for giving a wonderful presentation today. It was just like a very nice pace, I should say. We started from pay slips and then ended in investments and what more somebody needs. So let's start with the questions. First is to Minna. Nitya Nandakumar is asking, what are the different tax exemptions available based on tax agreement in Finland? I hope that is not. Yes.
Well, I'm not actually, well, there are certain deductions that are automatic that everybody gets. And then there are different things that you can claim. I don't know, I'm not that familiar with, for example, if there is a tax agreement between India and Finland, that I don't know. I'm not a tax expert. But one thing that I do know is that the tax officials, the Finnish tax officials, are usually very, very good at giving advice. They also have advisory phone number for international tax situations. And they, in terms of when it comes to Finnish officials, tax officials have a very good reputation in terms of being very helpful. And in general, claiming taxes and doing tax returns in Finland is quite simple. But I really can't go, I don't know the details in terms of Finland and India.
Hope that explained. Yes. The next question is to Seema from Amrita. Do we need a health insurance if we are living in Finland? Of course.
Yes, we do. I
think that was my question also, right, Seema? That do we
Yeah,
need
I
to
think
do all of these?
definitely we need, because most of us who have actually gone through the pain would know. I'm not doubting the public services over here. They are really great. But especially for when it's from my office, of course, I pay still 70% or 30% office pay. So, and I have to go to a gynae. Still, it's a huge cost for me. So.
Yeah.
That 30% doesn't help. So it's better you have a health insurance. And in fact, in Finland, you have Lahi Tapiola. I'm again not advertising them, but I have with them. So they are really good. And you can just talk over.
Their employee health insurance you have, right, Seema?
Yeah, I do have
They
employee,
provide
but
it
I
by the
don't have
employer.
it for my son. Okay, then he had a fracture in January, and I just went through a hell. Again, nothing bad about the public services, but here, yes, it was crazy. But then that's when I thought that, okay, I should have some kind of health insurance for my kid as well, and also for me, especially when I have to go for some private consultations and make it very quick when I'm in real pain, right? And not just waste our money over there, whatever we saved or budgeted, then suddenly everything goes over there, funded over there. So I think it's important that each one of us have that health insurance. Yes.
To add on to this point, I think if you are still not, if you are not a permanent resident, or if you are not still a citizen of Finland, then I would advise the whole family to be part of health insurance, because if any uncertainty comes, even the hospitals do ask if you have a private insurance, and they cover maximum part of it. And that is for bigger things, not for flu or anything I'm saying for it. Yeah.
Until we are well and fine, things are good. But when suddenly something goes wrong, then that's when you like realize, oh my God, am I too late? It's better to be, on a safer side than regret later.
Yes. So next question is, how is taxation on a capital gain of equity in Finland?
That's for Tarun.
Yeah, so capital gains, I think up to a certain limit is 28% or 30%. They've just recently changed. So there is a bar below which I believe it's 28%, and then it goes to 30%, but it's one of the two. So capital gains on, but bear in mind, which is also interesting, all the capital gains and capital losses are combined in the Finnish taxation. So if you have losses somewhere, they will be adjusted against the profit. So all of them are combined, and whatever is the net result on that I believe it's 30%. It could be 30, 32%, something like that, depending upon which slab you fall into.
And losses carry over from year to year as well. There's a sort of number
correct.
of years that they carry over.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, and I think this should be the last question to Tarun. Any pointers towards invoice discounting in India, which is she means that what is the opinion on investing in NFT?
Oh, what is the opinion in investing in NFT?
So it's two questions. One is NFT and the invoice discounting.
Okay, I might be wrong.
Yes, there are two questions. So invoice discounting is different, and NFTs are different. Non-fungible
Token.
assets,
Non-fungible.
tokens. Yeah, non-fungible tokens. So which is trending now. But yes, Tarun, probably if you want to take over.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
From invoice discounting is a very interesting factor, but for that you need, of course, we have the PAN card and all these things, but then you need an Indian mobile number to do that. And it's basically how it works is like, for example, there is a manufacturer. He wants to do a kind of a vendor who wants to say Coca-Cola. Let's take Coca-Cola. Okay, he's actually manufacturing plastic bottles. Okay, but he needs to deliver some a million bottles, and he doesn't have 10 lakhs of money with him. So then he goes to the public, asks for funding, and what happens is he gives a 10% discount. So whoever is going to invest totally, they need to just pay kind of 9 lakhs, kind of 9 lakhs to him, and later when Coca-Cola actually pays directly after 3 months to the person, he gets 10 lakhs.
Yeah.
You know, that's invoice discounting, and that's trending in India. And NFTs are non-fungible tokens. Basically, it's kind of a very difficult kind of a topic because it's very digital assets. So you can convert your pictures, even the memes which is coming nowadays. They convert into a digital asset. They actually digitalize it. They give a token identity and address to it, and you can only sell it once. So now you have the YouTubes, you have memes where everybody can use the same memes. But when you make it as an NFT, you make it as a digital asset, then you can only sell it once. So if, for example, I sell it to Renuka for maybe 500 euros, then Renuka can sell it for 600. Nobody else kind of, you know, that's what it is.
So I'll just add, I think, so in addition to what Seema said, I believe the first one, there's another terminology which is used called factoring. I think it's called factoring, which is, so I think it's a good tool, but it's not an investing tool. It's a tool for cash flow management. When I need, so usually invoices have 90-day, 120-day period, but I need money today to run my business, and I don't want to wait for 3 months or 4 months. So I basically gave a 10% discount, and I sell that invoice today, so that in future this party will take the money directly after 90 days. So basically I'm getting the payment today, but giving 10% discount. But the only reason I should do that is if I cannot manage my finances. It's a cash flow tool. It's not an investing tool. It's a tool to manage my cash flow. And why give 10%? 10% is a lot of money. And again, factoring. So that's factoring. NFT, I think there is something about NFT, like Seema said, it's a growing field. It's about proof of ownership of a digital asset. Remains to be seen, but exciting. I think that space we should keep a watch to.
Okay. There was a question, I don't know, Renuka, if you asked that.
Yeah.
Are term insurance policies in India applicable for NRI? I guess it gets very tricky.
Yes. we
Yeah.
have many companies are now offering, or you can even do it online. So they are so flexible. But it also depends on your age. If you're a little bit in your 40s, then they need to do some tests. And here in Finland, it's not easy to take all the tests. So it's better
Okay.
when you go India, you take a term insurance and then come back, when you go for a vacation. But if you're in your earlies, like your 20s and 25s, then anybody would just give without a test as well. So yes, you can do that, and you have to pay even lesser for the test. for the term insurance
Okay.
when you're in
okay.
your early stages. Yeah.
Early, of course. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of
Uh,
more questions I see
Yeah,
here.
one thing, Renuka, I have one
Yeah.
question in continuation little bit. So the someone saying I have experience of living in Finland, but I'm earning in another country. Like I'm currently investigating this as an option for me. So how does this work from a tax perspective? That means if I think it's more like if you're living here but you own a property in India and you're getting rentals there. So how and when do I declare holding of property or inherited property or gold in India and the income in India?
So I think if you're a resident in Finland, and I believe the standard is 182 days. If in a year you are in Finland for 182 days, you are liable to pay taxes on the global income, regardless of where that income is and the source of the income. So in this particular case, if it's a property in India which is generating a rental income or stocks or dividends or interest, they should be declared as a part of global income to Vero tax office as a part of your annual reporting.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, unless Minna, if you have anything else to add, or if you think
No, that's correct. I mean, if you are a resident for tax purposes, I mean, there's a little bit different. You can be a resident and then you're a resident for tax purposes, and those are slightly different things. But I think it's 180 days per year, then you are a resident for tax purposes.
Yeah.
But in many occasions, countries do have these bilateral agreements that prevent double taxation. So, but I don't know if there is one with India, but usually there is, meaning that you only pay taxes in one country, so you're not double taxed.
Yes.
But again, the Vero, the tax officials have a phone line to ask. But yes, you have to declare it here if you are a resident for tax purposes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Renuka, you can take the next.
Yeah. And Princess Madhuri asks that if you leave Finland and move to another country, do you have to redeem all your investments out?
Not necessary, at least to my knowledge. I don't think so. But you'll keep paying taxes, if you really, having some rental incomes which is coming up, and you still pay your taxes. And I think that should be fine. You just keep declaring your taxes. There's no need for you to redeem unless and until you have some emergencies there in the other country. But that's my personal opinion as well. But yes, Tarun or Minna, yeah.
Somewhere I heard that if you are a citizen, does it change? Or I'm not sure, because you are anyways adding inflation to the other countries, right?
Tarun was going to say something, but Finland keeps a rather tight hold of its citizens when they move. So usually Finnish citizens are liable for taxes in Finland for 3 years, even though they live outside of Finland. Usually, I mean, there are exceptions. But I think that people who are not citizens of Finland can get rid of Finnish taxation sort of easier. That is my understanding. But for citizens, it's Finland has a tight grip.
But how about when you were having some investments in India and have become a citizen of Finland, and then do you need to express your investments to Finland? I suppose you have to.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what Tarun said, right? Global.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And I think in the reverse case also, and again, I think this needs to be verified. It also depends upon asset class. So I think rental income, for example, which is generated in Finland, even if you're abroad, it will be taxed because you're using the assets of the country to generate the income. So even if you're not a citizen, but you've moved abroad and you're holding a property here, it's hard for me to imagine why would Vero not tax that, because you are using the assets of the country to generate the income. Yeah. So there may be certain asset types where if you have moved abroad, they are not taxable. But ultimately, I think the double taxation, either they will tax here and then you will have to declare there, will take care of it. One way or the other, you will have to pay the tax on the capital, whether it's Finland or India. but some asset class by default gets taxed, like rental income. They will get taxed, or they will be taxed in Finland.
So there's one question, I think it's very preliminary, but if I want to invest in stocks in India, how can I do that sitting in Finland? There's a question from someone.
Okay.
I think depends upon. Sorry, go ahead, Seema.
Unfortunately, now you have a lot of restrictions if you have to do, because you need to definitely have an Indian number. You get the OTP, and it's not so easy. But of course, with your guidance, you can ask some beneficiaries there to actually, have a account. But just they can only handle it, so you cannot handle it. And it's called kind of a zero account, which is like zero commission account. Where you can put in stocks, but you also have here, you can already invest. In fact, the BlackRock funds, which we have here in Finland, has the list of all Indian companies' stocks grouped together in that. So if you really want to invest in Indian stocks, then you go ahead and invest in BlackRock funds via Nordea or maybe Danske Investment Banking. But there's also another zero commission broker called eToro. I think most of you might know that is also really good, and they don't charge. But of course, they have their own margins when you buy and sell. So that's a different story. But but the UI is really user friendly. eToro, you can go ahead and do a trade there. There are few Indian stocks there as well if you wish to. Actually, you can do crypto trading. You can do Finnish kind of Finland stocks. You have US stocks. You have China stocks, everything there. So you have a huge portfolio there which you can use and trade it. But unfortunately, from here it's not possible to do in India.
Okay. And I think there was this one question, maybe Minna, it's towards you. So as a part of the salary, there's a lot of taxes which are deducted, the pension tax, unemployment tax. So the assumption is that it would be a percentage of some percentage, but it's based on the income. So if you're earning 2,000, or if you're earning 5,000 or 10,000, you're paying more. So eventually you get that more, is one question. And the other part is, what if you leave Finland? So how does one get to claim that? Do they, like if I leave next year, can I claim my unemployment and not unemployment, sorry, pension tax, pension benefit now? Or do I only get when I retire in whichever country I retire in?
Yeah. These sort of unemployment insurance and pension insurance are percentage based. So the more you earn, more you pay. And
more you get.
More you get.
Yeah, more you get too. Yes, true. Up to a point. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a gap. There's always a gap. But if you leave Finland before your retirement, you will not get that money with you. So when you do retire, then you contact the Finnish pension officials and say that I have now retired. Can you start paying me my pension? And so it's not a fund that travels with you. It's not something that you can claim and then reinvest somewhere else. No, then you just contact. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But you definitely get it wherever you
Yes.
are. You definitely get it. So
yes, you do. Yes, provided that the whole world doesn't sort of go. But yes, it's the idea.
Your money. It's your money.
Yeah.
But you'll only get when you retire.
As long as there are taxpayers in Finland, you will get it, because I mean, part of the pension payments that you are paying now are actually going towards current pensions that are being paid, and so that's one of the reasons why Finland is trying to attract taxpayers here, because we need to keep this system ongoing.
Yeah, we need people to pay for us as well, right?
Yes, true.
Otherwise, the age of retirement will keep on accelerating to 90.
True. I'm sort of nearing I'm almost 50, and I can see the sort of my pension is going further and further into the future. Yeah.
And then one more question.
Okay, you have one more, take it.
Yeah. If we invest in Indian stocks from Finland, how it impact in Finnish taxes?
I think it would be the same answer, right?
Same answer, yeah.
Capital gain.
Yeah. Okay, what?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you'll get
And
a
then,
monthly statement, a big statement just
yeah,
for your investment. So they're not going to leave you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we just visited about the pension insurance, and
I guess, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
have, I think
I
we
think
have
we've covered
answered. Yeah.
almost all the questions we have had, and I think it has been a very interesting session and interesting discussions. And I'm sure that people will have topics or different areas where they would want to deep dive. We will take that input from you guys. And then later on, we can arrange more sessions post summer where we can deep dive into property or stocks or equities, whichever areas we get more interest in. But meanwhile, thank you, Minna, Seema, and Tarun